rolling on the river. Rolling on the river.
Hello people, and I'm sensationally excited to bring you back to Rolling Back the Years, my new series where I cover my favourite or most memorable game from each year, going backwards from 2011 to as far back as I can record it. So my last video was 2011, and that was Dark Souls, which, as I mentioned in that video, turned out to be one of my favourite games actually of all time. I've got a lot of time in that game, but here is 2010 and Fallout New Vegas. The first thing I really want to touch on is this is sort of a substitute for Fallout 3. Obviously Fallout 3 was released in 2008, and I've really got a game that I want to use instead of Fallout 3, but I thought it'd be unfair not to include Fallout in this series, because again, I've got a lot of hours in this game and Fallout 3. I haven't played the others, but yeah, those two games alone I've got hundreds and hundreds of hours. So I think Fallout 3 is where it really started, and it's sort of where I started properly on RPGs. I mean, I'd played RPGs, you know, on earlier platforms, but not as sort of fanatically as I played Fallout 3 when that was released. It really introduced me to RPGs, and you know, for people who aren't into RPGs, I think if you played one of the Fallout games, I would recommend Fallout 3 over this. But as I said, 2008, I've got a game I want to use, so yeah, I just thought I would include Fallout New Vegas instead. Although it does bring some really good stuff to the table. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. Yeah, for people who aren't really fans of you know, RPGs or open world, I think if you introduce yourself to Fallout 3 or this game, you know, I think it'll grow on you. And you know, any avid gamer can get so balls deep in this game. There's just so much to it that, you know, you're never bored when you're on this game, unless you're sort of going for collectibles and stuff like that, which can be quite tedious. But other than that, it is one of, you know, these two games are two of my favourite games on the Xbox 360 anyway. And in this video, the part of the game that I recorded, it doesn't really display what RPGs are really about, but I just, you know, I didn't want to record a bit of me sort of just wandering through the wasteland. I would much prefer it to be something really entertaining and a little bit more quick-paced, including some gunplay, so that's where we're at. But anyway, yeah, the first thing I want to touch on in this video is the way it impacted me when I first got Fallout 3. I remember getting Fallout 3 in 2008 when I didn't really know much about it, and there was a sort of period in time where I bought a lot of games off what you know, off a lot of screenshots and trailers and stuff like that, instead of really having knowledge, and Fallout 3 was one of them. I'd been told about it, and I'd seen, you know, a lot of trailers and videos and screenshots and stuff like that, and I just thought it looked really nice and looked really cool, so that's how I ended up getting it. When I got it, I gotta say, Fallout 3 probably starts a little bit slower than this game does. Obviously, this doesn't need to reintroduce you unless you're a new player, which it does. It still has a sort of tutorial mission at the beginning anyway. But yeah, Fallout 3 starts quite slowly, but there's just one period of time, well, not period of time, one moment where you first step out into the open world aspect of the game, and it's just breathtaking, for a game to be so open that when you step out into the open, you have to decide which direction you go in. That really is what RPGs are really about, and what open world really should be about. And that's how it impacted me. I was sort of a bit awestruck when you step out into the open world and you can see, you know, everywhere that you can see, you can go and explore. So unless you hit sort of the edge of the map, but you know, even that's vast and it's miles away from where you start. So excuse me. Yeah, so when you first step out, it's a little bit daunting, and especially, you know, for a new player. But just even somebody telling you how many weapons and items and things you've got to consider when you're playing these games can keep you interested. And the thing I love so much about this game is every action that you do, every, you know, sort of answer that you do in a conversation, or person you kill, or, you know, town you ransack, or, you know, anything like that, it has a knock-on effect, and you've really got to think about that. So once you've sort of, you know, explored every place, when you're about to make a big decision, you've got to think about how that impacts the other places you've been, or, you know, other people that you've met, and the wonders you have seen. No, getting carried away with primary school songs there, but anyway, yeah, moving way off topic. So yeah, it really has a knock-on effect, and Mass Effect does the same thing, but Mass Effect's never been as open world as Fallout, or, you know, any Bethesda game, really. Bethesda does a really good job of giving you a huge, vast area to explore, and so many people have different personalities, and yeah, you've got to really think about how your actions affect somebody else in the game, and you can really, you know, gauge if a person's genuine and stuff. I know it sounds really strange talking about a game like that, but it's true. You know, you can really gauge who's friendly and who's maybe telling lies, and you can go on your own path. Really, it's so open world, you can do that. You go completely on your own path. You know, you can kill everybody you see if you want to, or you can, you know, try and play the nice guy, or, you know, be nice to people's faces and then steal stuff out of the drawers and all that sort of thing. So it really is up to you the way you play this game. And amongst that, you know, not only has it got that aspect of open world and you know, do what you want, it also brings in that the actual gameplay itself is fantastic. There's not really many flaws in it. I know there's a few glitches. I know Fallout 3 was infamous for a few glitches, sort of. There was glitches, but a lot of it was frame rate issues when you neared the edge of the map. But other than that, when it's, you know, glitch free, or, you know, bug free, even the gunplay it's really fantastic. You can get into these big group battles if you know, you bring some companions with you, like I have here, and all this, you know, the fact that I've got companions with me, even those airstrikes and, you know, the bomber plane going over the top, all was because of stuff I did earlier on in the game, and I really love that about it. But yeah, the gunplay itself is really impressive for a game that's so in-depth. You know, you think there's got to be flaws in one core aspect when it takes so long to create a game, but that's not the case at all. As you can see, this game, I know obviously I said this is really a substitute for Fallout 3, because I think Fallout 3 had more of an effect on me because that was the first time I'd experienced that type of game on that scale. But this game's really innovative as well. You know, this game brought in new types of ammo. You can create your own ammo and stuff like that. You can make your own food at campfires, and it brought in iron sights, which Fallout 3 didn't have. It doesn't make a massive difference. And it also brought in hardcore mode, which, for those of you who haven't played this game, that basically means that you have to keep hydrated, so you have to keep drinking water, and you always have to keep eating. So, you know, and sort of ammo's a little less hard, it's a little more harder to come by, really. There's not as much stuff that you can collect. Obviously, the damage that people do is a lot higher. It's easier for you to die, and you do less damage. And yeah, it's a really innovative idea. I've only tried that for a few hours because I really was daunted by it, and I haven't played this game for a long time. I just hopped on it today to do this because this was a video that I wanted to make for 2010. Just hopped on this now, and yeah, so I'm a little bit rusty, but yeah, it does sort of ease you into it, this game. As I said, this does start a little bit quicker than Fallout 3 does, but it's still got a tutorial mission where it gets you used to, you know, shooting a gun and the new features in the game. And this story is absolutely nothing to do with the Fallout 3 story, so you're not going to miss out by not playing Fallout 3 and then playing this. It's basically the same game with a different story and a couple of new features, but at the core it's the same game. So, you know, basically, even though I said, you know, Fallout 3 had more of an effect, and I do prefer that game to this, this does bring a lot to the table in terms of new features. And one of the main things I love about this is that it's so gritty, and it's definitely an 18+, you know. It's as gory as they're gonna get, and it really does give you a feel of, you know, apocalypse, and you know what it'd be like to try and survive in this sort of situation where, you know, somewhere's been absolutely destroyed and you've got to scavenge for food, or you've got to, you know, become a sort of you know, somebody who just goes around terrorizing people or steals, and, you know, creating your own shops, and they've got their own currency and all that sort of thing. So it is really gritty, as you can see this head on the pole. That's as gritty as it gets. But yeah, it really is one of the RPGs are one of the, you know, the best genres of games in my opinion. I know that sounds really strange because, you know, it's all opinionated, but as I say, in my opinion, because it's just, I do believe that, because there's so much stuff that you can do with it. You know, say like a sports game, there's only so much you can actually change from year to year. But, you know, with this game, I know they didn't change too much, but as I also said, the story's nothing to do with it, so you can change the game radically if you want to. It's like, perfect example is Oblivion to Skyrim, the changes there. And, you know, there is so much stuff you can do with the game, and you can just build upon, you know, your foundation. And this game does a perfect job of it. It takes everything that was good about Fallout 3 and, you know, adds new features, because that's the way it should work. We're sort of in an age where people love to complain about games, and I mean, don't get me wrong, I've complained about my fair share of games, but yeah, we live in an era where people love to complain about them. And they're always saying we need change, but if something's really good already, you don't need to change it. And it's the perfect example of this is the Resident Evil series. And for any Resident Evil fans watching this, and you might not agree, but just bear with me, this is my opinion. The creators of the Resident Evil series really do seem to think that they need to change the game radically to sort of keep an audience. And that in a way is true, because you know, nowadays everybody's trying to compete with Call of Duty, really, and the size of you know, the audience that you used to have isn't enough anymore. Say when Resident Evil 2 came out, the audience that they had for that game, you know, the fan base, isn't enough to keep their studio going now, really, when, you know, there's so many big titles out that drag a lot of old audiences away. And I think that's really why, you know, games feel like they need to change so much. But this game really didn't need to change much, and just the little bits of, you know, new features and that sort of thing is enough to keep people interested. A whole new story, a lot of new weapons were added into this game as well, which I really like. And you know, it's just overall a fantastic game. And anybody who hasn't played this, fan or not of RPGs, I would recommend it to anybody, really. So yeah, I'm not sure how long there is left of this video. I think there's a few minutes, so I'll have to rabble on for a little bit longer. But as I say, there is an endless amount of stuff you can really touch on in this game. I like the way not only that you can play the game you want, but you can also build your character the way you want to, really, in terms of appearance and all that sort of thing. And it's really the same as, you know, like, say Skyrim, for example. You can create a character, or, you know, Dark Souls as well is a good is a really good example, that you can build a character, you know, that wears light armor and is more nimble and uses, you know, quicker hitting weapons. It's sort of the same with this. You can you know, wear lighter armor, so you haven't got as much you know, actual resistance to damage, but you're much quicker and harder to hit. You can use fast firing weapons to try and deal sort of damage per second, because it actually displays that on this game. It displays the weapon's core damage and then the damage per second. So obviously, like a fully automatic assault rifle is going to do a lot more damage per second, because it's getting consistent shots than, say, like a pump action shotgun or a bolt action rifle. And yeah, you can create your character. I really do like to have a hard-hitting character, to be honest. I like to use shotguns and one-hit rifles and stuff like that, and wear heavy armor, because this game, you can get into positions where it's really, really difficult to carry on. So yeah, I just like to have a character that's really well built and who is strong, that can carry a lot of stuff. And but that's another thing that this game does really well. There's items that, you know, enhance you like momentarily, like stuff that enhances your damage or your damage resistance. And I think I used some earlier on just as I was fighting that sort of boss character. And yeah, there's all sorts that can enhance your character. It's a really, you know, it's an experience different from a lot of other games in terms of you can get so sort of deep into this game that it just doesn't get boring. There's so many different places to explore, different ways of playing the game, different sorts of characters you can build, different relationships with characters you can build. Like, you can have different companions that are good for different things, and yeah, it's just a game that will really keep you going. The replayability is so high. You know, there's many different endings. Like, one of the things that this game does at the end is every side quest that you do for every sort of small town or person, it actually displays what happens to that town or that person at the end of the game, depending on you know, how you played those certain missions or well, quests. You know, how you played them, what the outcome afterwards was, and it tells you how, you know, the ending of the game that you have has affected that town, has affected those people. So yeah, you know, you can see one ending and then play through the whole game a completely different way. You know, you could play through being the nice guy and, you know, having all the nice answers to people's questions in conversation windows, you know, and doing jobs for people, giving water to people that are dehydrating and stuff like that, and have a certain ending. And then, you know, you play it again and you can ransack everybody, kill everybody that you see, shoot bollocks across the wasteland, and, you know, have a completely different ending. So it's just a game that can keep you going so much. And obviously, for the people that played this, you'll know all about this, so you didn't really need to watch this video, but hopefully you'll feel compelled to, just because it's a game that you're a fan of. So this video is winding down. I think I've said just about all I can about this game. This party gets really hectic and I have to start hopping away. And but yeah, it's over quickly because my companions are absolutely beast. Even in this playthrough, I actually had a different ending to my actual playthrough, because all I did on this bit was I just reloaded my last save that was close to the end of the game, and yeah, and just played it a different way than I did last time. So that's basically what happens here. But in terms of the actual ending, like the cutscene at the end, I've cut the majority of it off. I've just got what it says about my character in particular, and then that'll be the end of the video. So I shall leave you trailing off with this lovely little smiley robot. It looks a bit like an NFL player with those shoulders, doesn't it? Look at him. Although I wouldn't be intimidated by an NFL player with a face like that, I've got to say. Gotta be honest with you. So yeah, I'll leave you with this and what it has to say about my character, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching, and here it is.
We accomplished a lot together. It was fun. Take care.
And so the Courier's Road came to an end, for now. In the new world of the Mojave Wasteland, fighting continued, blood was spilled, and many lived and died just as they had in the old world. Because war never changes.
Okay, so the video on the top is the last episode of Rolling Back the Years, which of course is the Dark Souls one from 2011. The video on the bottom is the second part of my analysis of the Black Ops 2 multiplayer reveal. Subscribe in top right. My channel and my ugly chops are in the bottom right. Other than that, hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave some feedback in the form of a like, a comment, or whatever you feel like. So hope you enjoyed the video, and tonic water is not a viable lube.